Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. Today we're going to talk about VeChain, not so much about this toolchain thing, that's just the first thing on their page, but we're going to talk about VeChain price and can it reach a penny in June, because there are some rumors in June, and we know that the Bitcoin ratio has surged massively up before, noticeably in April because of the hype about the summit. Now, back then, Bitcoin was not nearly worth nearly as much as it is now. So even at 160 Satoshi, that was not quite a penny. But right now, if it were to surge back to 160 Satoshi, it would roughly be about 1.3 cents based on Bitcoin's price right now. So the question is, can it possibly break a penny in June? That's a pretty big point. It's a pretty big psychological point. And we're all going to talk about it because can it break if Bitcoin stays at around 8,000? It's kind of useless to talk about it if Bitcoin is way above 8,000 or way under 8,000 because one of the biggest swaying factors of any cryptocurrency is what price Bitcoin is at. I think BNB is the only coin that has sort of broken out of that. Now, here's the thing: if Bitcoin obviously if it goes back down to 6,000, obviously VeChain will go down, and even if the June pump of the news of PwC or Deloitte or whatever comes up with more partnerships, the fact that Bitcoin is less will mean that even if the ratio goes up, it won't reach a penny. If Bitcoin goes up, I believe the VeChain ratio will go up, and with that, price will go up as well and easily pass a penny. So it only makes sense to really look at this in a vacuum where Bitcoin stays around its current price of $7,970 or something like that. Will Bitcoin pass a penny? I think there is a chance, but if it does go to 160 sats, maybe even 200 sats because of certain hype or news, even if the news is true, I actually believe it will retrace afterwards. I don't really know what the PwC news is. There's supposed to be some kind of PwC news in June of probably some of their partners coming on. Also, DNVGL has also announced they're onboarding a couple of their partners more onto VeChain, and we've seen two spikes within 5 days really of VeChain activity. And if you look at block activity, VeChain is much higher this week than it was last week at 32,636, and last week it was down around 2324. This week it's risen to 18. It still needs to do a lot more than that, but two spikes within a short amount of time period could mean that there's some consistent usage and perhaps more projects are being onboarded into VeChain. Remember, the more transactions there are on the VeThor network, the higher VeChain price grows. But it needs to get to a consistent point to actually affect VET price, because VET generates VeTor, and VeTor obviously is needed to power every single transaction. So the price of VET will depend on the number of transactions on the blockchain. So basically the more clients that get onboarded directly affects the price of VET. And since we've had two spikes, not nearly the amount that we want it to be, we need the volume to be 10 times what these spikes are, but these spikes are significantly higher, several times higher than the regular traffic. And we've never really seen two in such close proximity to each other. And that could mean that PwC is getting ready for the announcement, or DNVGL is getting ready for the announcement, or another customer is coming on to VeChain. So because of that, we don't know what to expect from PwC, but if PwC announces something huge or DNVGL announces something huge, I do believe the ratio will at least temporarily, the Satoshi ratio will temporarily at least go up, possibly to 120 Satoshis, maybe even going to 150, 160 Satoshis like it did because of the VeChain conference. However, that will take it past a penny. However, I do believe that it will come back down in that case, because if Bitcoin doesn't move, because you have to really think about it, and you have to realize that despite the customers coming on, there are already several customers on the chain, and customers, even after they come on, they take quite a while, maybe a couple of months, maybe even longer, to actually utilize the chain 100%. So unless the utility on VeChain can actually sustain that price by itself, any pump to 160 Satoshis or 200 Satoshis will actually retrace for VeChain after it pumps. I mean, could VeChain pull an XR like 2017 XRP suddenly go up to 20-40 cents from half a penny? Yeah, I mean, technically, sure. I mean, it's possible, but I wouldn't bet on it. You have to remember in early 2017, all the big coins that existed around then, XLM, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin, they all went up massively during that time period. So I don't really see the market movement in that same kind of motion as in early 2017. So I would definitely not bet on VeChain suddenly surging to 20 cents from half a penny. I'm not saying it's not possible because that doesn't give us like some kind of ridiculous market cap like tens of trillions. That would basically give us maybe a 10 billion market cap, which is possible. I just don't think in this current condition or in this current environment it's likely to happen. There are a lot more coins out there, and I haven't really seen that surge. I haven't really seen a reason for that surge of VeChain in particular. If Bitcoin goes up to 20K, sure, it can surge like that. But we're talking about if Bitcoin stays at 8,000. So I do believe VeChain can surpass a penny in June. But if it does, it might retrace back under a penny because I don't think the amount of transactions on the blockchain will actually be able to hold the price up at that point unless Bitcoin surges too. I think for utility to actually meet price, yes, VeChain is closer than some of the other coins, but I do think it will take at least several months for the utility to equal the price, depending on the rate that these new customers come onto VeChain and how much VTOR is actually used. That's why VForge is extremely important to keep a track of. And if you see, the amount of transactions rise and you see the amount of VTOR burn each day go into the millions or tens of millions, that's when you know that VeChain can actually sustain higher prices than it is now. So that is a report of today. I do believe VeChain could possibly surge past a penny in June, but if it does, it probably will retrace unless Bitcoin comes up. So that is my analysis. Thank you for watching. Check out my social media and everything in my description. Check out my Patreon DLive. It's also in my description. Thank you and have a nice day.